And hi out there, everybody. This is Mr. Kowalski again, back for another weekly fourth grade music lesson with you. And I'm happy you guys are here. Now, you guys have been working really, really hard the last couple of weeks with the Russian dance and the Nutcracker and things like that. Well, today we're going to do something a little bit different. Today we're going to change things up a little bit with a little bit of using your imagination a bit. Ready? So I want you to kind of use your imagination. Now, keep your eyes open so you can see. I don't want you guys to miss out. But I want you to use your imagination a little bit as you take a look at this sentence up here at the top. Ready? Just use your imagination and think, congratulations, you just got a new job. Now I know you're thinking, I'm a fourth grader, I'm a kid. What do you mean I got a new job? That's why we're using our imaginations a little bit. Ready? So congratulations, you just got a new job. And that means you don't have to go to school anymore. You don't have to come to school anymore at all. Virtual school, computer school, real school, anything. You got a new job, which is awesome. Now let me tell you about this new job that you got. Ready? It says you don't have to go to school anymore. You now have a new job working on a farm. All right, so maybe you're like, working on a farm. Okay, I'm not sure. Animals, crops, we'll find out, but I don't have to go to school anymore. Awesome, I've got a new job. But let's check it out. It says, but you have to be taken away from your family and your hometown, and you can't see them ever again. That's part of the job. Ooh, that's a downer. Ugh. Okay. Your job, you have to work all day long from dawn when the sun comes up until very, very late in the night. You got to work all day. So that's part of your job too. And then you very rarely get breaks to get a drink or get something to eat or lunch or dinner, or you rarely even to go to the bathroom. You hardly ever get breaks to go do that. But that's part of your job. So it's part of your job. All right. So there we go. That's part of your job. You don't get weekends off. No Saturdays off. No Sundays off. You don't get any vacation days. You don't get sick days. If you're sick and you can't go to work, you still got to get up and you still got to go. So you don't get any days off at your new job. But it's just part of your job. It's just part of your job. You got to do it. You have to work in all kinds of weather: hot weather, cold weather, rainy weather, windy weather, snowy weather, any kind of weather. You still have to go out and work on the farm. Whether you're taking care of animals, whether you're taking care of crops, whether you're taking care of plants and things that are growing and picking the crops and vegetables and stuff, you got to work no matter what the weather's like. But it's part of your job. If your boss doesn't like the way you're working, you can get in trouble and you can be punished. You could get punished by your boss if he doesn't like the way you're working. Like your food and your drinks could get taken away. If a boss doesn't like the way you're working, they could take away your food or your drinks, or those break times that you do get. They could take those away from you. You could be tied up outside in the sun if the boss doesn't like the way you're working. You could get tied up and left outside. That's a downer too. You could be hit or beaten or hurt by your boss on this job. But it's part of your job. Okay, so you better work the way your boss wants you to, because if not, you can get punished. You never get paid any money for your job. You never get paid any money, and you are never allowed to quit your job. Doesn't that sound like a fun job to have? No, not at all, right? I mean, none of these things sounds like anything that would be a good job to have. I wouldn't want to have a job where I was treated like that all the time. And I don't think that you would either. Well, that's the way life was many, many years ago in early America for a group of people known as slaves. Now, maybe you've talked about slaves or slavery in your classes with your teachers. Maybe you've talked about that in social studies or history or things like that. But if you haven't, slavery was early in American history where people were treated and used, like I said, as slaves. And a lot of these conditions that we talked about, the job that you wouldn't want to have, was the way these slaves had to live their lives every single day. See, early in America, especially down south in the southern states, down south where the weather stays warmer for bigger parts of the year, a big part of their economy, a big part of where they make their money was farms. big, huge farms where they would raise crops and pick crops and then sell those crops. That was where they got their money for a lot of people down in those southern states. But they needed people to work on their farms. But the owners of those farms didn't necessarily want to pay workers every day for coming and working there. So they used slaves. Now, a lot of these slaves came from other countries. Specifically, a lot of them came from countries that were in Africa. So people would go to Africa on boats and they would, now this is messed up. I'm not going to say this is in any way a good thing. This was really, really messed up back then. But people from America and other places in the world would go to other countries like Africa and they would, get this, they would capture and take people from their home countries, right? They would take people from their family in their hometown, capture them and tie them up, load them into these boats, and bring them back across the ocean to America. And then they would, get this, they would sell these people to these big farm owners. Now, I know what you're thinking. Mr. Kowalski, that is messed up. What do you mean sell people? You can't sell people and buy them and own them. But that was the way it was with slavery all those years ago. It was messed up and it was terrible. But that was the way it was. People didn't view slaves as human beings. They just considered slaves to be property, something that could be bought, sold, used, and traded just like anything else you would buy at a store. I'm telling you, it's messed up. That was messed up stuff. But once these slaves were bought and purchased by people, I mean, they would walk to a slave trader, they would pay them money, and then they owned these people. They owned these slaves. It was crazy, crazy. But they would take these slaves back to their farms, and they would make them work on their farms under a lot of these same conditions that we talked about here. They had to work under the same ways that we talked about with that pretend job that I just congratulated you with. Now, I don't know about you, but I wouldn't want that job. And the slaves didn't either. But they didn't have freedom to make their own choices. They couldn't just quit and say, I don't want to be a slave anymore. Because their owners felt like they belonged to them because they had paid good money for that slave. So they weren't allowed to just quit and leave. Now, some slaves could be very brave and try to run away, but didn't always work out really well for them if they got caught, because then they could get punished even worse. So I'm telling you, that was messed up. But to get into what we're going to talk about today, we're going to talk about a slave song today called Now Let Me Fly. Now, think about it. If that was your job, if you were a slave, if that was the way you had to live your life, why would you sing a song called Now Let Me Fly? What do you think? You can just say it. Yeah, I agree with a lot of you guys. I would sing Now Let Me Fly because I would want to fly away and get away from slavery. I wouldn't want to be a slave anymore. I'd want to go find some freedom. And that's exactly why these slaves would sing this song. So today we're going to look at this song called Now Let Me Fly and get a chance to talk about how the slaves would sing this song and what they would use it for. So the song's right here. It's called Now Let Me Fly. And there's going to be a red part of the song, the refrain, and then a blue verse, and then the red part again, and then the red part, and then another verse, and then the red part again. So I want you guys to sit back, just listen to it. I really like the way the instruments go along with this song too. It's really, really cool. And our job is going to be able to sing this red part together. So make sure you're really paying attention to that. It goes like this. Ready? Here it comes. I love the way it starts with the flutes. Makes me feel like birds flying away. You hear it? Right? It's like they're flying. And here it comes. Ready? It goes like this. Now let me fly. Go ahead and listen to it. Now let me fly. Now let me fly. Way up high. Way in the middle of the air. And here comes the blue words. Ready? Way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Not so particular about working at the field, but I just want to see how the chariot back to red. Feels. Now let me fly. Back to the red words. Now let me fly. Listen to them stretch that out, stretch that out. Piano part. Red words again. Now let me fly. Listen to this, stretch that out. Now let me fly. And here comes number two. Number two goes like this. I got a mother in the promised land. Ain't gonna stop till I shake her hand. Not so particular about shaking her hand, but I just want to get her through the promised land. And red words. Now let me fly. Stretch that word out. Now let me fly. Stretch that word out. Now let me fly. And that's it. Now let me fly. There it is. And the instruments all finish out, and the instruments have really cool kind of flute finishing out thing over there too. So, but that's the way the song goes. So now our job today is we're going to be able to sing these red words here. Now let me fly. As it goes along through that song. It's a great song to get a chance to sing. And this is like one of those songs that the slaves used to sing a long, long time ago, right? And if you take a look at it, like we said, they're singing this one because they really wanted to fly away. They wanted to fly away from slavery. They didn't want to be slaves anymore. They wanted to be able to get away and get to freedom. So that's where this whole let me fly way up high in the middle of the air came from. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab these. Right, I'm going to grab these steps. We talked about these steps before and used these with other songs before. I got all those steps all set and ready for us. And our job today is to sing this song on the red part all the way through it. So now if you look, this whole now let me fly. Ooh, did you hear that fly part? How it stretches out for a long time? That's why I put this big long line here there to help us remember that it's going to stretch out there. So we'll start right there. Ooh, excuse me. The first now let me fly is going to go down the steps. It's going to go like this. Watch. Down the steps. It goes, now let me fly. And it stretches out. Excuse me, I got stuck there a little bit. Ready? So that now let me fly is going to stretch out a long time. I hope you can do a better job of stretching it out than I just did. So listen to it one more time. I'm going to try to do better this time. Listen to it and you sing it after me. I'm going to go first. Now let me fly. Your turn. Go. Oh, did you stretch it? Yeah, now this is kind of a long, stretched out, kind of smooth song, even though it's kind of bouncy feeling in the accompaniment and the instruments. It's a smooth, long, stretched out line song, so make sure we stretch it out. We don't just want to go, now let me fly, and just sing it like that. Not bouncy like that. We're not going to be singing like robots. So stretch it out again and say, now let me fly. Ready, go. Now let me fly. Awesome. Now the next line, second line, same words, same stretching out, but we're going to go up the steps this time like this. Now let me fly. Ooh, that one goes up high, almost to the top step. Watch it. Now let me fly. Let's do that second line. Ready? And here we go. Now let me fly. Awesome. So the first one goes down low. Second one goes up high. Right, so let's try both of those together. Now let me fly down low. Now let me fly up high. Don't forget to stretch it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ready? Here we go. Now let me fly. Now go up high. Now let me fly. Yeah, we're almost done, guys. Now this part gets a little easier. We don't stretch these out as long. It goes, now let me fly way up high. Right, now that one doesn't stretch out. That's why there's no line right there. So listen to it again. It goes, now let me fly way up high. Awesome. Let's do this part. Just do way up high. Try that. Way up high. Yeah, everybody go way up high. Go. Pass down the steps. Say way up high. Go. Nice. Now put this in front of it and say, now let me fly way up high. Try that line, the third one. Ready and go. Now let me fly way up high. Nice. Now, don't forget, in those 3 lines, don't forget this first word right here. Now, now, and now. Right? Because if you were a slave and you were trapped in that kind of life, you wouldn't want to fly away next week or tomorrow or next year. You wanted to fly away now. So make sure you get that now in there. That's an important word now. That's why they put it right there in the title. So let's go to that third line again and sing it after me. Now let me fly way up high. Try it. Ready? Here you go. Now let me fly way up high. Nice. Now, right down the steps. This was going to be super easy. right down the steps, super easy. Bounces right down like this. Way in the middle of the air. Try that. Go. Way in the middle of the air. That's the easiest part in the whole thing. One more time. Go. Way in the middle of the air. Ready? Here we go. Way in the middle of the air. Awesome. Now let's do the third and fourth lines together. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle of the air. Ready? Let's try it. 1, 2, 3, ready? Here we go. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle of the air. You got it. Awesome. Now can you do the whole red part all the way through? Let's try the whole red part. Ready? Now let me fly down low. Now let me fly up high. Then the third part. All right, let's try the whole thing now. Let me fly. Ready? Big deep breath. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Big breath. Ready? Here we go. Now let me whoa. What's the important word in the song? I don't want to fly tomorrow. I want to fly right now. So don't miss that word now. Ready? Some of you kind of went 1, 2, 3, ready, go. Let me fly. And all of a sudden you came in there somewhere in the middle. Now let me fly. You got to get that word now in there. That's important. So let's try that again. All the way through the red words. Ready? 1, 2, 3, ready, go. Now let me fly. That's it. Do it again up high. Now let me fly. Keep going. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle of the air. Oh, bravo, ladies and gentlemen. Excellent job. It's a wonderful performance for Now Let Me Fly. Excellent job. Now, very nice. Now, let's go ahead back to the beginning of that song. Ready? We'll go all the way back to the beginning. Right here for Now Let Me Fly. Now, your job is going to be singing those red words every time they come up. That Now Let Me Fly part. Ready? When it gets to those blue words, I can take care of those blue words and sing those. If you're feeling particularly brave out there, you can join those blue words. But I'll take care of the blue words, but you make sure you keep singing those red words out for us. Ready? So here it comes. Now Let Me Fly. Here it comes. Again. Those flutes kind of singing out like birds flying, fluttering their wings. I love this part because it's going to fly way up high in a second. But here it comes. Ready, go! Now let me fly. Now let me fly. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle of the air. My turn. Way down yonder in the middle of the field, see me working at the chariot wheel. Not so particular about working at the wheel, but I just want to see how the chariot feels. Comes in fast, get ready. Piano part. Now, can you sing your red part without the bells? Ready, go! Now let me fly. Now let me fly. Now let me fly way up high, way in the middle of the air. Ready? I got a mother in the promised land. Ain't gonna stop till I shake her hand. Not so particular about shaking her hand, but I just wanna get up to the promised land. Now let me fly. There it is, keep going. Now let me fly. Stretch it. Now let me fly way up high. Good. Way in the middle of the air. Yeah. Good job out there, everybody. Music, there's that. There's fluttering birds out there flying. Right, just like those slaves wanted to fly away, just like those birds. Awesome job, boys and girls. Nice pat on the back. Good job. Now, in the last couple minutes that we have left, I want to think a little bit about it. Now, here we have slaves living in those conditions that we talked about and working that job. It wasn't a job. They couldn't quit, but working the way that they had to work, right? But here they are singing Now Let Me Fly. Now, we said the words sound like, man, I really want to get out of here. I want to fly out of here. I want to be gone. But you would think that they would sound kind of sad because of the life they had to live. But songs like this were actually the opposite for the slaves, right? This is an example of what we call a spiritual. Now, a spiritual is a slave song, but it's a little more than just that. Ready? Spirituals like this were sung by slaves a long, long time ago because songs like this gave these slaves hope. It gave them hope about the chance, just a chance of getting away from slavery. Hope about the chance of getting away to freedom. But there was also a special meaning behind a lot of these songs. Ready? Spirituals like this, it's not just a slave song, it's also a religious slave song. You see, because the slaves, they believed in going to heaven. That's what the slaves believed. The slaves believed that when they died, they would go to heaven. And they really liked this idea of heaven. Because when slaves learned about this idea of heaven, it was a place that they'd never heard of before. They'd never heard of this place called heaven before. But when they started to learn about it, they were like, well, they said up in heaven, nobody's sad anymore. And they said, well, slaves are pretty sad, so heaven sounds like a good place. And they said, well, then up in heaven, nobody's going to be hurt anymore. And the slaves said, ooh, that sounds good, because slaves were hurt a lot. And they said, when you get up to heaven, there's freedom for everybody and nobody's going to be slaves anymore. And the slaves were like, hot dog, I like this place called heaven. What do I do? And then they would say, but to get to heaven, you got to die first. And the slave said, huh? I don't like that part. But then, see, what the slaves believed was they started to believe in the idea of their soul. Okay, there's a cool movie out called Soul. But slaves started to believe this idea called soul, of their soul going to heaven when they died, and their soul would live in heaven forever free. That's what the slaves were hoping for. That's what the slaves believed. The slaves had those beliefs, so that's why they sang songs like this. They sang these spirituals, these religious slave songs, because not only did they want to sing about trying to get away from slavery, but they also wanted to sing about how excited they were about going up to heaven. That was what the slaves believed, and that's why they sang these songs. Like, now let me fly. I want to fly away. Now let me fly. I want to fly away. Now let me fly way up high. Oh, look. Way in the middle of the air. So if I'm a slave singing, I want to fly way up high in the air, I'm not just singing about going away to freedom. The slaves were also singing about going up to heaven, right? That's what the slaves believed in, and that's why they sang songs like this. Because in their dreary, horrible, difficult lives, spirituals like this, these religious slave songs that they sang, spirituals like this gave them hope to keep going every day, hope of finally getting up to heaven one day. That's why the slaves sang this one. Now, next week when we have music, we're going to come back to this song again. We're going to talk more about those blue words and what those blue words mean and get a chance to come back to this one. So your homework between now and then, do your best to remember these red words right here. Got it? If you can do that, when we come back next week, we'll get a chance to sing this song again. It's going to be a fun one, and we'll talk about those blue words. But right now, my time is up. I got to get ready to go, and I got to let you guys go too, back to class. So keep working hard for your teachers, just as hard as you work listening for me, and I will hope to see you guys again in a week, and we'll talk more about this song, Now Let Me Fly. And I'll see you guys next time we have music. Bye, everybody.